Well, U.S. President Donald Trump has said that there was a good chance of a deal to end the war in Ukraine after the latest U.S. negotiations with Kyiv.
And this as his envoy prepares to travel to Russia. We're speaking of Steve Witkoff here for a follow-up talks. Now, his statement came hours after Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with Ukrainian officials and expressed optimism about progress despite challenges enduring ending the more than 3-year-long war.
What took place in South Florida today, those talks between the U.S. and the Ukrainians?
Well, they're going along, and they're going along well. We want to stop people from being killed. It doesn't have much to do with us, but I'd like to see if we could save a lot of souls. A lot of people are being killed. Last month, we had 27,000 people killed in that ridiculous war that should have never happened. It would have never happened if I were president.
U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and U.S. President Donald Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, were also present representing the U.S. side. The Sunday talks took place near Miami at a private club developed by Witkoff's real estate business, who is also expected to meet Russian counterparts later this week.
Now, before the talks, Marco Rubio said that the aim is to create a pathway that leaves Ukraine sovereign and independent. With the discussions follow roughly 2 weeks of negotiations that began with a U.S. blueprint for peace. The plan was initially criticized for favoring Russia, which started the Ukraine conflict with the 2022 invasion.
It's about also the terms that set up Ukraine for long-term prosperity. I thought we started laying the groundwork for that, most certainly in Geneva. I think we continued that work in our communications throughout the week. I think we built on that again today, but there's more work to be done.
We were discussing about the future of Ukraine. We discussed all the important matters that are important for Ukraine, for Ukrainian people, and the U.S. was super supportive. We already had a successful meeting in Geneva, and today we continued this success. So at the moment, this meeting was productive and successful. On the later stages, hopefully, we will keep you updated.
Amidst the claims of progress, AFP media, citing a source in the Ukrainian delegation, said that ongoing U.S.-Ukraine talks were not easy. According to AFP, the Kyiv delegation told the process is not easy because the search for formulations and solutions will continue, although they added that the exchanges had nevertheless been constructive.
An initial 28-point U.S. proposal, allegedly drafted without inputs from Ukraine or its European allies, would have required Kiev to withdraw and recognize the Donetsk, Crimea and Luhansk regions as Russian territory. And the proposal, however, was pared back to original draft following criticism from Kiev and Europe, but the current contents remain unclear.
All right. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that all issues discussed in Florida talks had clear focus on ensuring Ukraine's sovereignty and national interests. Ukraine's leadership, facing a domestic political crisis fueled by a probe into major graft in the energy sector, is seeking to push back on Moscow-friendly terms as Russian forces grind forward along the front lines of the war.
Now, ahead of the Florida talks, Russian forces targeted Ukraine's capital and the region for 2 nights in a row as they advanced on the front line. On Saturday, a drone attack in the outskirts of Kiev killed 1 person and wounded 11.
Now, as earlier, Ukraine's security service released the videos showing attacks on 2 oil tankers in the Black Sea that it believed were covertly transporting sanctioned Russian oil. Ukraine was also condemned by Kazakhstan, which told Ukraine to stop attacking terminal of the Caspian pipeline consortium, which handles more than 1% of global oil.